iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. That's right, I'm turning back the clock on you for this intro because we are here at one of the most prestigious and iconic tracks in motorsports, and especially in American motorsports. We are at virtual yet beautiful Road Atlanta. Or Road America, sorry. Ooh, that's my first mess up of the night. Road Atlanta was last week. We're at Road America this week. My name is Mac Nelson. Joined with me not by who you see on the broadcast team on the bottom right. That is my mistake. But I am joined by someone who I've taken the booth with one time previously. Looking to make it 2 great nights. Mr. Zenny. Zenny, how you doing, man?
Good. Happy to be here. Hope everybody out there watching is having a great night, and excited to get some awesome GT3 action around Road America. It's a fantastic circuit for sports car racing.
Yes, sir. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And this is the second week of the Syndicate GT3 series. We'll take a look at it now. You'll see it on your bottom right. Like I said, this is week 2 of 8. We're at Road America. 60-minute sprint here as soon as these cats get done qualifying. And next week, I know it seems like a long time away, but it gets here before you know it, especially around the holiday time. But we will be at the ever so amazing and twisty and windy Watkins Glen. Absolutely amazing track. Personally, one of my favorite road courses on the service. What about you, Zenny? Do you like Watkins Glen? Are you a big Watkins Glen fan?
I love Watkins Glen. I absolutely love it. We'll race darn near anything around there. I got the 6 hours Watkins Glen special event always circled on the calendar. It's always great fun. Yeah, easily probably top 5 circuits for me.
Yeah. I mean, and I agree. Once again, I agree wholeheartedly. It's one of those tracks that, like you said, you circle it on the calendar every time you're going to race it. And I think that holds true for not only, stuff on the iRacing service, but also, real life. Real life racing, it produces, just amazing, amazing wheel-to-wheel racing. But that is something we will see next week. Because this week, like I said, here we're at Road America. As we see Terry Vincent taking it through the kettle bottoms now. And, everybody always says that this track is, one-dimensional. You've only got 2 or 3 spots to overtake here. You've got down the straights, and then after Canada Corner here, which Terry Vincent is taking now. What's your favorite spot to get, maybe a little bumpy, elbows out? What's your favorite spot to try to go for an overtake here on this track?
I gotta say probably turn 5 is my action spot. Road America's got some kind of funky numbering schedule or sequencing, if you will. You got kind of those little bends in the kinks that they call turns. So what on the map you would think would be turn 3 is actually turn 5. But that I think is probably the action spot I'm usually either getting past or trying to make a pass there. It's after the second long straightaway that this track has. You're going downhill. It's a good drafting opportunity. You're breaking down to first or second gear depending on what you're driving. It's wide enough to take 3 wide. I don't encourage doing that, but it is wide enough to do it. Yeah, it's just for me the action spot of the track.
Yeah, and I agree. Hard on the brakes, and yeah, I love seeing all these drivers here. I love seeing them, get in their bag and really try to, accomplish, in their opinions, a good race. And, I think that's something that's, I don't want to say the best part about motorsports because it's not. But something that's, really cool that I like to see is, all these drivers, you have the likes of Jeff Sanders, Jed Cotterman here, who a good race for them would be ultimately winning it, right? But Danny, like someone, a driver like Danny Jackson, who we saw last week at Road Atlanta, it was a struggle for him to stay on pace. But he ended up with a top 10 finish. I believe so. And something about, just being where he doesn't, or being somewhere where he's not expected to be, that makes it a good race for them. And it's just the own goals that a driver will have coming into a race. That's something that I think really sheds, a positive light on, motorsports as a whole. Obviously, you want to go out there and win, but for a lot of these teams, winning is something that's not going to be happening. So if you can find that, good ground of, oh, wow, I feel like I got better this race, or, waking up tomorrow morning realizing they're a better racer than they were yesterday morning, and, something like that, it's just really cool for me to see.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that point. This is a series that, has an iRating cap in place, so you don't have the aliens and the sweats, as I like to call them, your high iRating guys that you see, coming in here and kind of making things a little bit miserable for some of the lower iRating guys on the service.
Exactly.
So it's nice to see a league that kind of caters towards the newbie or a low iRating person, or maybe just somebody that doesn't do a lot of officials. I mean, I think you would agree that official races on iRacing can be very chaotic and a very not enjoyable use of your time, what we shall say. And so you find a lot of guys that just run in leagues and that's all they do. And so they may not have a high iRating that you would expect to see in, say top split, 24 hours a day. Daytona, or something that's broadcasted on the iRacing official channels, so I definitely appreciate from Syndicate Racing this season with this league, and to me it produces some phenomenal action. I'm in a league that we have 2 different classes, a pro class and what's called the mid-pack Larry class, or MPL, and watching back the races, those midfield fights just ferocious. You say it's even better entertainment than watching the fast guys go at it.
Yeah. That's something, I agree with that, actually, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because there will be a lot of times where I watch, 4 divisions down, 5 divisions down, racing on that level, and just, the heart and soul they put into it, them making mistakes, yet not wanting to, not necessarily admit that, but they're not going to let it, demoralize them. They know they're making mistakes. They're out there trying to improve. So when a driver can put together, a really good lap, or when he can put together a really good finish and, make something that seemed impossible during the morning, when teams are going over the race and all that, and they actually, go out there and achieve it when it's time to, hit the road and head down visor on, I think that right there is just really cool, and I can't imagine how good of a feeling it is for the driver.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anybody is going to tell you that when you're having a good fight, it's one of the best things that you can do. And that's kind of one of my frustrations as I've gotten higher and higher in the iRating ranks, is you start getting into the races that I guess you can say the egos kind of take over. You find more and more people driving with what's called red mist. This level of anger and aggression, instead of remembering why you're there in the first place, which is the spirit of competition. And so for me, watching and remembering back to when I was in these kind of races, I really kind of miss it, because it's all about respect for your fellow competitor, and you just walk away, and it could be a battle for seventh place, and you feel like you just ended up on the podium because you just had this awesome side by side fight that was clean, it was respectful. You can laugh and enjoy with your fellow competitor versus being ticked off at a guy because he sent it from 5 car lengths back, or he just dumped you because he'd rather do that versus try and fight you.
Yeah, no, I agree, and very, very well said. As we take a look at the weather here, as we look at Broughton Jones and that BMW number 33 machine, temperature is going to be 64 degrees out here. That is Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius. Track temperature is going to mimic those temperatures, and it's not really going to warm up or cool down, as we are kind of in the middle of the day here at Virtual Road America. It is overcast. Humidity is 45%, so not too much moisture in there. Going to be kind of just a vanilla day out here at the track.
Yeah, but that just means these guys aren't going to have to worry about excessive tire wear or anything like that from driving on a hot track. For anybody that's not familiar, the GT3 cars on iRacing recently went through a complete tire model refresh, and so they're supposed to be more realistic than ever. And a lot of the race car drivers that are on the service have backed that statement up. But the gist of it is that it takes a couple of laps for the temperature to come fully into the tire, and then it kind of reaches a peak and then plateaus. And so these guys are going to have to manage that window of grip that they're going to have, the operating window as they call it, to make sure that they can get the tires to come up to temp quickly and not have concerns about spinning out, but then also not burn up the tires too quickly. But when it comes to tire wear, the track is not going to be an enemy for them in this race, it looks like.
Yeah, just really a day, and just an atmosphere for going out and getting the job done. Speaking of getting the job done, I know we are early on into the season, only one race under our belt, but I feel like it would be valid to show you guys the championship standings. So we rode on board with Terry Vincent in that number 1 BMW. He is leading the championship with 374 points, followed closely by Mr. Jed Cotterman with 352 points. Jeff Sanders, who is your current pole sitter with a 2-minute 3-second .141. He will be in third place for the championship currently. Michael Prince, Jeffrey Strong rounding out that top 5. So a lot on the board here, obviously, as we're early on in the season. And Zenny, you're somebody who, loves road course racing. So are you kind of just in attack mode if you were 2 weeks into an 8-week season and you're sitting at, say, 4th, 5th, 6th in the championship? Are you kind of just going for it and trying to get the best result possible? Or are you trying to just be Mr. Consistent, maybe stay within the top 10 and get some nice points?
I think for me, it depends on what the schedule looks like. If the early on in the season, it's tracks that are favorable that I'm strong at, I might be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more attacking, to try and get as high up as I can and build a points lead early on. But if I know on the flip side that near the end of the season it's going to be tracks that more suit my driving style, I might try and just do some triage early on, scrape away some 4th, 5th, 6th results, and then know that it's going to come back to me potentially at the end of the season. But for road courses, it's really there's so much more at play, I feel like, than there is with oval racing, and it's part of the reason why I love it so much more. Where you've got, potentially some pitch elements coming in where you can do a lot more fuel saving than you can theoretically on an oval circuit. And all these kinds of things you can. It's kind of like playing a game of chess at 150 miles an hour, right? You're trying to figure out what the other guy is doing. You're trying to figure out ways that you can maybe make up a pace differential if you can't just beat them on outright pace. So, I mean, it's an 8-week season is a short season, all things considered. So that might tip some of these guys into being a little bit more aggressive earlier on than they would like to be. But I think all in all, it brings with it a much higher risk versus reward calculation than you may have in some other elements or disciplines of racing, I should say.
Yeah, no. I 100% agree. And, I don't want to downplay oval racing because that is a big skill. And, I'm not trying to say that it is not. It is a lot more than turning left. However, on a road course, fuel saving, like you said, is a much more intricate matter. I feel like it really affects, how you're putting down lap times. It affects you in the open track. It affects you on a contested track. It affects everything. And, like you said, yeah, you can get really intricate with it. You can, really, in oval, you have 2 or 3 different pit cycles, 2 or 3 different strategies. But considering, when you're in a 60-minute sprint on a road course, there's, give or take 20 minutes there that you have a pit window open. And, that in relation to an oval, if we were to try to, compare the two, 20 minutes on an oval, that's, 40 or 50 laps. And that's just not, that's not the case with ovals. Your pit window isn't going to be 40 or 50 laps, on an oval. But a pit window on a road course can definitely be, 20 minutes or so. So, like you said, I 100% agree with you. It can definitely be a lot more finer tuned, and races can be 110% won or lost just off strategy alone.
Yeah, I mean, the one disadvantage that road racing has on iRacing compared to oval racing is kind of the second chance factor. You don't have cautions, you don't have safety cars. So if you end up having an incident early on, yeah, you might be able to have a faster pair to get the car fixed, but then you're just running out there by yourself. There's no opportunity to restack the field and run it again. So that's where, like I was saying, the risk versus reward is going to come in, because you have to sit there and say, is it worth potentially throwing away this race and finishing, down in 12th, 13th, where I'm not going to get as many points as if I had just had a little bit of a cooler of a head and, end up 4th or 5th, So that's something that these guys are going to have to figure out. Having no idea what the background for these guys are as far as, season-long championships go, kind of. But it'll be interesting to see who recognizes that early on. And who maybe is going to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, because 8-week season, it is a long time. That's 8 60-minute races that these guys are going to have to go through before we do crown a winner here in the Syndicate GT3 Saturdays League. But at the same time, an 8-week season is not very long. So these guys, if they truly do have championship aspirations, you're Aaron Sanford, you're Faraz Ibrahim, you're Terry Vincents, Jeff Sanders, those guys, they cannot afford a mistake. They must race very, very well all 8 weeks.
Absolutely, 100%.
So Jeffrey Strong here in the number 17 Ferrari. MaxVerstappen.com Ferrari, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what was on the top visor strip. And actually I take that back, he will not be the last car to bring it into the pits. Michael Prince here, who has not submitted a lap in that number 45 Mobile 1 BMW. He's going to take a little bit of a spin as he takes the left-hander going up the hill.
Still not going to submit a lap.
Yeah, he will not be submitting a lap. We've got 5 minutes to go here in qualifying. I'm not sure if we're going to get a little bit of a speed up on that or not, but if we are not, then we've got to talk about something, and something I've got on my mind.
Yeah, looking at time and the scoring, I don't see anybody on track, so
Yeah.
we'll see if they advance the schedule. But
yeah,
what you got on your mind?
Well, this is completely unrelated, but man, I don't know how you feel about wrestling, Zenny, but I just got done watching some absolute cinema. I'm sure someone out there in the universe watching this stream is also a wrestling fan, and they can attest that John Cena's final match, the greatest of all time, the Never Seen 17, the last real champion, fought his final match tonight in the WWE, his final match ever, and man, it was poetic, it was cathartic, it was cinema, it was, tear-jerking for me because, man, I've been a wrestling fan ever since I was 6 or 7 years old. I'm not even trying to make the trendy joke on that one, but ever since I was 6 or 7, I loved WWE, man. Watching Jeff Hardy flip, watching John Cena, attitude adjustment, the Great Khali off the stage. And along the way there, John Cena was truly a role model, an icon, a hero, a legend. And something that I personally, and I'm not trying to sound cliche, I'm not trying to sound cringy, but something that I always took from him, something he always preached out to the world was, never give up and hustle, loyalty, and respect. And that's just something, as we have 3 minutes left in qualifying here, I just want to say that, those are messages that anybody, wrestling fan or not, they can take with them. Just always hustle, always be the first one in, last one out, put your best into it, always be loyal to the people that have your back, and just always, respect everyone, because, there's going to come a day when that's all, going to pay off. That's something I believe in personally, is that you get what you put in, and just the world seems so corrupted, tormented these days, and, just be a good human being.
Yeah, I think that's something that everybody could generally agree on. So definitely good messaging there. I'm not a big wrestling fan, but I am a huge Cena fan. So end of an era. Like you said, nobody as good as him. And I'm not sure anybody coming up is on their way to touching that legacy that he left behind. But for me, watching wrestling very little bit, but I've seen clips and highlights and so forth. And so for me, the standout Cena memory has got to be when he came into, I think it was WrestleMania a few years ago, and he had all the decoys all lined up, and standing there all dressed exactly how he was, and then he comes in, doing the salute to his, fan base and everything, and then just goes sprinting into the ring. That's a pretty good one for me. But looks like we did get an advance to the race. We're not sitting there with 3 minutes of dead qualifying time. So our drivers, all 17 of them, are starting to grid up here. And we're about to get this pace lap underway here at beautiful Road America.
Yes, sir. The beautiful Road America. It is truly one of the greatest tracks. And with that, we will go to your starting grid here tonight for week 2, row number 1. In pole, Jeff Sanders. P2, Josiah Kelly. P3 is going to be Terry Vincent with Aaron Sanford in P4. Row number 3, Faraz Ibrahim with Jed Cotterman on his outside in P6. P7, Philip Kelly. P8, going to be that BMW number 33 of Broughton Jones. P9, Jeffrey Strong. Jamie MacArthur in P10. Row number 6 is going to be Brennan McCurdy. P12, the Intimidator Corvette. P13, Stephen Flurry. P14, Danny Jackson. P15, Dennis Crosby. P16, Michael Prince. And row number 9, the lone guy. P17 Doug Betts. So a decent turnout here for the second week of the Syndicate GT3 Saturdays. I think we had 14 drivers last week, if my memory serves me correct. So on the up and up for the Syndicate guys. As the pace car will go down into what I believe Zen said was turn number 5. It's kind of like turn 3, but I think they do label it turn 5. They're always weird about, you know, if a straight's not truly straight and has just a little bit of a turn, they call that a corner. And yeah, so cross the bridge now.
It's always kind of weird how tracks differ on their opinion of whether a kink is a corner or not. So if you're watching and you're wanting to weigh in, put it in the chat whether you're a fan of a kink as a corner or is part of the straight. Curious what the world outside has to say about that.
I feel like corners are kinks, but not all kinks are corners. Kind of like the square and rectangle thing. I feel like that's how you can label that.
I think that's a good way of putting that. That's a good analogy. We'll stick with that one. That's our official.
Yeah, that's our official go.
Official stance on it.
Yeah, that's our official statement. That's our story. We're sticking to it. Coming around the carousel
we don't
now.
have producer approval on that, but we're rubber stamping it.
Yeah, we'll have to hit up Rob here in the future and see if that's a official slogan. Hey, we might put it on a shirt. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
You truly
look for some Racer's Nexus merchandise in the future.
Yeah, every corner is a kink, but not every kink is a corner. I like that. We need to abbreviate that or something. But then that'd be one heck of an abbreviation. Yeah. That'd be a really long abbreviation now that I think about it.
So you could spin it off and then you could say what's your kink and somebody would be like, what are you talking about?
That. Now that is marketing 101. That is a good strategy. As the iRacing official pace car going around Canada corner here. We got that Racer Nexus chopper and the Racer Nexus blimp in the air. There's only like 21 blimps in the world. It's crazy. Racer Nexus owns one of them.
Yeah, we got a sweet deal from a guy that we know at Goodyear on a used model.
Yeah, yeah. Very good. It has a V8 in it. It's all good.
That's all you need. But they're going to make their way around the final turn here and start making their way up the hill.
Yep, that iRacing official pace car gonna go off, and we are all but ready. The drivers up the hill. They're hitting that gas pedal. We are green here for the second week of the Syndicate GT3 Saturday Series.
Yeah, and you saw guys making moves already trying to get in single file here as we file down into turn 1. First 3, 4, single file, double file behind those guys as we got a spin from the 4 Corvette off in turn 1, but the front of the pack stays green.
Front of the pack will stay green. That is correct. As we have a spin that looks like a BMW, the Mobile 1 BMW. Not entirely sure. I think that might have been Terry Vincent. Not exactly how you want to start.
Terry Vincent.
Not exactly how you want to start this race, considering you're up there in the championship standings. Hard on the brakes now, down the hill. Josiah Kelly giving up that position to Jeff Sanders. We'll see if he tries to get it back in blood. But he's not going to have a very good...
Mid-engine supercars battling here between the Ferrari and the McLaren.
Yeah, he's not going to have a very good chance to overtake until the bottom's there.
Yeah, realistically, probably not going to look to make a move until Canada corner. So if I was Josiah, I'd try and stick behind him, use that draft all the way through Kettle Bottoms and the kink, and try and make a move down in Canada corner. But also, like we were talking about during qualifying, this is that risk versus reward. It is a 60-minute race, so being too aggressive on lap 1 with cold tires could be disastrous for some of these guys.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Back through the carousel.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure who that was.
Stephen Fleury.
Yeah, there is your current top Ferrari that's not named Josiah Kelly. Josiah Kelly, obviously, we just watched him. Yeah, Stephen Fleury having a little bit of a moment, it seems. But back up here to the lead, coming around the final corner, getting ready to end this opening lap. A little wide there for the Ferrari of Kelly.
He's really rolling that speed through the final corner, trying to get a run down this long front straightaway up the hill. He's tucked in the draft of that McLaren in front of him, and he's looking to make a move here down in turn 1 at the start of lap 2.
Yeah, ducking off down on the inside. Not going to have the room to lunge it, though. He takes a little bit more curb than he wanted to. That's going to be advantage to Jeff Sanders going through the first corner. As they make their way around the right. Sorry, go ahead.
Dennis Crosby got a pass done on Danny Jackson going through turn 3.
Yeah,
and a spin for the number 18 Corvette of Danny Jackson. Apparently he didn't like getting passed, and he threw his Corvette off in retaliation. I'm kidding.
Yeah, Danny Jackson, one of those drivers, you know, young, up and coming. You know, there's a very good chance that he turns into a mighty fine racer one day, but needs to get his reps in and earn his stripes in leagues like these. And, you know, that's just another reason why this Syndicate League is so dang good for these drivers. It's just an opportunity for these young, up-and-coming drivers, or they don't even have to be young, you know, just up-and-coming drivers. You know, get their reps in, get their stripes in, get their street cred up, and just learn the tricks of the trade.
Yeah, it looks like Josiah Kelly was able to make a pass for the lead now, and he's going to look to pull away going through the kink here on lap 2. And he's built up a half-second lap over Jeff Sanders already once he got around him.
Yeah, that number 303 McLaren of Jeff Sanders looked really, really strong on an opening lap. And to be fair, they all look strong, or both of them, as Aaron Sanford would like to enter his name into the conversation, the top Porsche here in that 958 Porsche. He's going to come around the final corner, and he might have a good run. The agility of that Porsche around that corner, he's going to be knocking on the doorstep of Jeff Sanders here.
Yeah, Jeff Sanders, back-to-back laps, not getting as good of an exit out of the final corner as his competitors, and this time he's got the Porsche of Aaron Sanford in his rearview mirror. But just like the lap before, not close enough to try and make a move, and so Aaron will sit there and say, I will save some fuel and sit and drift and try my chances at a later time. But behind them, looks like a three-way battle for 7th place was brewing. Although Broughton Jones, I think, got passed.
Yeah, this field really starting to stretch out here early. Last week, we saw at Road Atlanta, there was really tight battling going on for the first, 10, 15, even 20 minutes into the race. But it seems like everybody's kind of taking a step back. They're a little more relaxed. They don't have the first week jitters that they might have had last week. And they're really settling into their own groove, and there's really no side-by-side action happening right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a stark difference between Road Atlanta and Road America is, Road Atlanta is very tight, very compact. It's easy to stay bunched up in the field. And, if you make a small mistake, it doesn't really punish you all that much. But Road America, with all these long straightaways, you make one minor thing and you just get gapped on the straightaway. And so I think that's kind of what you're seeing with the field getting spread out so quickly already here on lap 3. But up at the front, it's almost a second lead. It was a second over at one point between Josiah Kelly and Jeff Sanders, but Jeff Sanders has reeled that back in by about 2 or 3 tenths. And likewise, he's pulled about a half second over Aaron Sanford, who was applying pressure at the start of the lap. So maybe some of these guys choosing to back off a little bit. But the guys that are not backing off, though, is Jeffrey Strong, Michael Prince, and Broughton Jones. Though that three-way battle that I'm seeing back in the field is still going fiercely on.
Ooh, yeah,
As we see Broughton Jones run wide.
Yeah, a little wide.
It's the third or fourth car I think we've seen run wide there in the final corner.
Yeah, so those tires not up to temp yet. Michael Prince is going to say, yes, sir, I'll take that, and let's leave. As he is going to try to leave the number 33 of Broughton Jones in the dust, and he's at risk of losing another position because that 17 Ferrari of Jeffrey Strong is looking really strong heading into the second corner.
Yeah, pun not intended, but he's looking to make use of that VerstappenRacing.com Ferrari there and try and make his way through the field just like Verstappen did in the Ferrari at the Nordschleife earlier this year. But the two BMWs of Michael Prince and Broughton Jones are battling hard right now. As you see Broughton Jones, he's going to throw it down the inside going into turn 5. Michael Prince is going to look for the over-under, and he gets it done as Broughton runs wide at the exit of turn 5.
Yeah, Broughton had that set up perfectly, but Michael Prince looking to strike the ultimate opportunist as we continue the wrestling references here tonight. The ultimate opportunist as he saw that Mr. Jones headed wide into that corner, and he said, I will take that as well. So Brendan McCurdy, who's had a decently quiet opening 8 minutes here, might have himself a battle with the 45.
Yeah, Michael Prince, I'm nicknaming that car the Stealth Fighter because he's all blacked out with the ghost graphics on it. He's moving like a stealth pilot at the moment. Just cool, calculated, very calm. And yeah, he said, I'm done with you, Broughton Jones. I'm setting my targets on the Rexy Skeleton Porsche in front of me that's driven at the moment by Brendan McCurdy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Road Atlanta is a lot more, of a technical track, I feel like. Like you said, it's tight, it's compact. You've got blind corners, you've got the S's, you've got a fair amount of curb hopping that if you don't do correctly is going to spell disaster as the 33 of Broughton Jones. He's going to lose it. He's going to go
make
wide.
A hard contact with that inside wall.
Yeah, he's going to go wide, and he tried saving it, but save he could not. As we'll go back and take a look in that onboard view, as you can see, brings it down to third gear, goes just a little wide, doesn't turn the car enough. He's good, and then he takes a little bit of a hop, and then it's just, he's at the mercy of the car at that point, as there's nothing he could do. So Broughton Jones now going to be bringing it into the pit here early.
These guys do have 2 fast repairs, I believe, if I read the rules correctly, so he'll be looking to make use of one of those. He was also going up on the jacks, getting some fresh tires as well. That could pay off at the end of this race as you get closer to 40, 50 minutes on a tire stint here.
Yeah, and as you were explaining that, Brendan McCurdy, I apologize, passed Michael Prince, who had actually overtaken him at the beginning of looking back at that replay. Brendan McCurdy took the position back. So still P7 for Brendan McCurdy. Michael Prince needs to lock in, or that stealth bomber is going to fall off of the Porsche.
Yeah, looking back at the front of the field, Jeff Sanders has reeled Josiah Kelly back in a gap. I say that, and Josiah Kelly responds and extends the gap back out. It was down to about 2.5 tenths, or excuse me, about half a second. And now it's being stretched a little bit further as making their way to the completion of this lap, going back up the hill. Looks like a 3-car breakaway.
Yeah, so
just got the number 7 and Jed Cotterman hanging on in the back of that, but it really is kind of a 2, maybe 3-car battle at the moment up front for the lead.
Yeah, and Jed Cotterman was very, very strong last week at Road Atlanta. He said Road America was going to be a little bit tougher for him, and as of right now, that is proving to be not true, as he is running in the top 4. He's got good pace. He's only running about 0.3 slower than the lead guys right now, so he's got just a little bit of touch work to do, but not much, as he is definitely a contender to win this race.
Yeah, I think from what we're seeing so far, it's just being consistent, not making mistakes, letting everybody else around you make mistakes. We're seeing a lot of guys run wide into the gravel. A lot of guys maybe trying to carry a little bit too much speed through some of these tight corners. And, Road America doesn't have the blind corners like you were saying at Road Atlanta, but it does have, tricky 90-degree corners after long, high-speed sections. So, you get your braking wrong, next thing you know, you're playing out in the sand.
Yeah, and that sand, like we saw with Broughton Jones, not very, nice. Doesn't like to play nice. It plays very mean. as it took Broughton Jones into that wall on the front straight, but he is back out on track. He is only 7 spots down in P15. He is not a lap down, so that is good. He is on the lead lap. He's just got a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, and that's what I was touching on at the beginning of the show was, unfortunately, unlike oval racing, there is no restacks and reruns in road racing, unless you're doing manual cautions and that sort of thing. But yeah, Broughton Jones is going to be pushing hard to try and make up as much time as he can and hope some of the guys in front of him fall by the wayside.
Yeah, Dennis Crosby here coming through the bottoms, part of that Turn 3 esports team, that number 13 Mustang. He has got a very angry McLaren behind him. That is Doug Betts. Doug Betts started P17 at the very back. He is up 5 spots into P12. And he is looking to attack. Scenario 7 for the McLaren.
Yeah, definitely making use of that draft all the way down the front straightaway. Not close enough to try and make a move in turn 1 just yet, but he'll keep hunting and putting pressure on Dennis Crosby in front of him and see if he can force him into a little bit of a mistake that allows him to go by easily.
Yeah, Terry Vincent had troubles on the opening lap. We saw that, or you saw it at the back of your screen as we were following the leaders. He currently sits in P13. He is, unfortunately, our biggest mover of the day, as it is in the backwards motion as he started P3. He is now P13. But on a lighter note, we go back to him, the stealth bomber, Michael Prince. He started P16. He is up 9 spots into P7 right now.
Yeah, and he's kind of fallen into a little bit of a bubble all by himself, not really around anybody. He's about 6.5 seconds back from Philip Kelly in P6, but he's about 5 seconds ahead of Kevin Anderson in P8. So just kind of running around by his own. Not really sure what happened. He was in that 3-car battle, and we saw what happened with Broughton Jones, but not sure what happened with the Porsche Brendan McCurdy, who's dropped down to 10th. But back at the front, that battle has tightened up all of a sudden, and what was a 3-car breakaway is now definitively a 2-car breakaway between Josiah Kelly and Jeff Sanders.
Yeah, and you see it on your
just
screen.
Behind them.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just behind them, you got Jed Cotterman and Perez Ibrahim as well in a battle for 4th. But Jeff Sanders throwing the nose up the inside, nothing doing there. Josiah Kelly unbothered by it. He says, I see your nose, but I'm not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, and you see it on the bottom right of your screen there, our biggest movers as we go 15 minutes through this race. We're a quarter of the way through. Michael Prince, we said, gaining 9 positions. Doug Betts up 6. Kevin Henderson in that Intimidator Corvette. He is up 4 spots. Dennis Crosby up 3, and Jed Cotterman up 2. As we take a look now at the weather again, as it has not changed really at all, as it is still 64 degrees. Track is warming up a fair bit because of the cars running on it. It is now up to 70 degrees, so something these tires actually probably like to see, Zinni. Would you agree?
To an extent, yeah. They definitely don't like cold track temps, but they definitely don't like hot track temps either. But we got a nice scrap going between the 2 Corvettes right now. The number 4 of Jamie MacArthur and the 666 of Kevin Henderson, the Intimidator Goodwrench paint scheme. These guys have been swapping places for the last few corners with the 666 coming out on top at the moment. And their battling has allowed the Porsche Brendan McCurdy to close in behind him.
Yeah, so the battle for 6th, really, though, the battle for 8th, because Jamie MacArthur is only 3/10 behind that Intimidator Corvette of Kevin Henderson. But don't sleep on Brendan McCurdy. Kevin Henderson going to go wide into Canada corner. Brendan McCurdy is going to... Jamie MacArthur going to swallow that up, and now that is his position, so he moves into P8. And now, behind him, Kevin Henderson is at risk of losing his spot to Brendan McCurdy. He took that final corner just a little bit sourly, if that's a word. And these guys are going to be in a drag race going down the front straight, but you just can't beat that Corvette top speed, as Kevin Henderson is going to get out away from that.
Yeah, it looks like there was a Ferrari coming out of the pits right behind these guys. Looks like it might have been Stephen Fleury. No, it's Jeffrey Strong.
Yeah, Jeffrey Strong in that number 17. Stephen Fleury, however, is making his way around the carousel right now, down 2 spots in P15. Just trying to get some consistent laps down and, you know, maybe bring it back. He is, unfortunately, considerably off the pace right now. He's about 3.5 seconds behind the leader's time. Josiah Kelly running a 2:03.81 that last lap. Jeff Sanders, who's right behind him, ran about 4/10 slower on that last lap. So Dirty Air really compromising Jeff Sanders' corners right now.
Yeah, but Jeff Sanders gets a big run with the draft going through and down into Canada corner there. Couldn't quite make a move, but definitely closed the gap up down to about 0.2 of a second. So I would definitely say the 2 favorites right now are between Josiah Kelly and Jeff Sanders, but can't count out Aaron Sanford. If these guys get battling side by side, that's going to allow Aaron to get in this mix, and you know, that Porsche gets some phenomenal traction out of the corners, being rear engine, rear wheel drive, versus these mid-engine supercars and McLaren and Ferrari in front of them.
Yeah, yep, I agree. And Aaron Sanford, the top thing on his plate right now are these 2 leaders battling, because like you said, those guys get to battle and it's going to compromise their times, and Aaron Sanford is going to be right on their back bumper, ready for a, you know, maybe a cinematic through goes Hamilton moment, if it does so happen to fall in the latter half of the race. But we're a long way from that. We're going to have to see.
Yeah, and you were asking me during qualifying about what the approach is on these course races and so forth. And so if I'm Aaron Sanford, you know, I'm looking at him saying, okay, I can't beat these guys on outright pace. It definitely seems like the Ferrari and the McLaren have me on straight line speed. Plus, they're drafting one another, which is not going to help my case. So now I'm sitting there going, can I fuel save more than these guys? Can I cut my pit stop time down and make that gap up in the pits? Because we all know that these cars can't go a full 60 minutes without a pit stop. And so we know a pit stop's going to happen at some point this race. And so if I'm Aaron Sanford, I'm sitting there going, can I shave a couple of seconds or 3 or 4 seconds off my pit service and make it up that way? And maybe potentially even leapfrog some of these guys.
Yeah, exactly. You are exactly right. And, you know, you also said it earlier, you know, pit strategy is going to, you know, play a part. And I definitely think, you know, fuel saving, you know, maybe go for a little bit of an overcut, maybe pit a little later than everybody else. Let all that initial congestion on the outlaps, you know, let it tank their times. You know, maybe take a clean pit stop out into some open air when you get out. But I'm here in the booth as we see Aaron Sanford is going to pass a pink, what I believe was a Ferrari there, as he is going down the final corner.
Yeah, it looked like there was a Corvette off track, driver's left there. But it's like Josiah Kelly has responded and been able to stretch that gap back out over half a second over Jeff Sanders and his McLaren.
As I believe it might have, no, it was not Doug Betts, I apologize, but he is going to have a spin here right before the carousel down the, I believe that is the hurry downs, they call it. A little downhill left-hander before you get to the carousel. So that was Doug Betts, unfortunately. Michael Prince, the stealth bomber, also had a little bit of an incident. He only stayed off track for a second, though, as he is going to come around. Ooh, the carousel Amazing save
he
there.
got so lucky with that. Oh,
Wow.
man. Losing it on the exit of the carousel was almost certain disaster. Wow, what a save from the 45 BMW driver there. That was incredibly lucky.
Yeah, that was very good on his part. Very nice save from him. Very well done. And he is going to stay
when you said
in
he
the
was
front
only
half.
off track for a second, I figured he ran off track. But when I saw that nose pitch right, I was like, no, he doesn't save this. And wow, that was just, wow.
Yeah, sure enough, he did.
Good scrap up at the front again as they're going to try and go side by side going down into Canada Corner.
Yeah, side by side. This is Josiah Kelly and Jeff Sanders. Ferrari versus McLaren. You've seen that a lot this year in the Formula 1 calendar. Seeing it now here in the virtual world in the GT3 Syndicate Saturday Series. As these guys, man, these guys might be duking it out for the entire 60.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. But you saw there the little bit of battling they did through those three corners and how much gap that Aaron Sanford was able to gain on them. But they're going to go side by side again down in turn one. Jeff Sanders going to try and do it the long way around the outside. He's going to make it stick. But Josiah Kelly's still got the preferred line going down in turn two, and he's not quite cleared him. Going to give him a little bit of a squeeze there, but now he clears him. Not quite fully yet. Josiah Kelly fights back, and they're still side by side. And look at all that ground gained by Aaron Sanford. He wants to get in on this. Soon to be a three-car battle with the draft. They're still side by side as they make their way down to turn 5. Heavy braking zone here. Kelly's got the preferred line on the inside. Sanders not wanting to give it up. He's going to hang it around the outside. Finally has to yield position. And he's going to tuck back in. But now they got Aaron Sanford filling their mirrors in that white monster Porsche behind him.
Yeah, so ultimately, nothing but bad for Jeff Sanders as he tried to take the position, got it done, immediately gave it back, however, and now instead of a 2-car battle, it is now a 3, like you said. Aaron Sanford watched with content and watched with a grin on his face because he is now in the running.
Yeah, and I'm sure these guys will probably stretch the gap over Aaron Sanford again just on outright pace, but you see as soon as they start battling how much it hinders them in being able to maintain that lead. But Aaron Sanford's going, thank you. I appreciate getting back in draft range. But Jeff Sanders looking very eager to get around the Ferrari in front of him. He's right back up to that rear bumper. He is not going to hang around long.
Yeah, he is not, but while we do have a second, Danny Jackson did indeed go off track. I believe this is who we saw, as he does not have a rear wing there. And, oh, back bumper is going to fly off, and his car is unfortunately just torched.
That is what is known as a rapid unintended disassembly in the space world. Yeah. That body panel said, I did not want to be part of this anymore.
Yeah, just a rear panel delete mod. That's what I would be telling the press, and he is going to bring that in. Right rear, barely even turning.
But thankfully it happened right at pit in there. So, but back up front, Jeff Sanders has gotten around Josiah Kelly by about half a car. Ferrari is fighting back strong, though, but he's going to be on the outside this time going down in turn 5. Not where you want to be.
Ooh, a little bit
Sanders
of a squeeze.
Definitely yeah, definitely wanted to throw it down deep in the brakes there, but a little bit of contact. He's going to try and get a switch over there. He's now on the inside going through turn 6. They're going to switch back going to the right now through turn 7. Man, this is fantastic action from our leaders right now. A little bit argy-bargy, no harm, no foul. All the body panels still straight there. Aaron Sanford is sitting there going, man, I need some popcorn for this. This is the best show in town right now.
Yeah, and Aaron Sanford got one of the best seats in the house for it. I mean, we've got all the angles up here in the booth, but he is down seeing it on a first-hand experience. But Josiah Kelly around that carousel had a way better momentum, way better line or something, as he is stretching it out from Jeff Sanders and Aaron Sanford. And if Sanders isn't careful, Now it puts his car in the perfect position to defend there in Canada corner. Sanford might have been too far back anyway. But we are still here with a three-headed dragon up here at the top of the grid.
Yeah, and they've got the two-car battle behind them of Jed Cotterman and Fariz Ibrahim that's about 4.5 seconds back. And Jeff Sanders choosing to get out of traffic there, come into the pits, get his service done, and get out in some clean air and try and turn some fast laps with nobody around him. But have to see if that pays off. Normally the undercut doesn't work out too well, but sometimes it can. We'll have to see what laps Josiah Kelly and Aaron Sanford can put in while Sanders is in the pits.
Yeah, now what I will say is, on the timing tower, it does seem like everyone is running a few seconds slower. We'll pull up the weather again. I'm not entirely sure if it's gotten, absurdly hot here. No, the track is still at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So the pace is dropping off. So maybe, just maybe, Jeff Sanders made the right decision there. But, we're going to have to see. And I hope that these two, Josiah Kelly and Jeff Sanders, along with Aaron Sanford, I hope they can link up again and race, because that was incredible racing. You would have, if you were watching that battle with no context whatsoever, you would not think this was a league capped at 1500 I rating.
No, definitely not. That was the hard, clean, respectful racing that we talked about in the pre-race show while they were doing qualifying. That's the phenomenal stuff that you walk away going, that's why I sim race right there. So hats off to those two gentlemen, keeping it clean, keeping it hard and fair, and giving the required room and then some to each other to make sure both of them survive through corner after corner. But Jeff Sanders comes out of the pits, and he is in clean air. He's got about 5 seconds to Doug Betts in front of him and about 20 seconds to Michael Prince behind him. So definitely looking now to put in some qualifying laps, as they call them, and while he's got that clean air, and when Josiah Kelly and Aaron Sanford come to the pits, try and jump in front of him.
Yeah, so around half of the grid has pitted. From Jeff Sanders and back on your scoring tower, they have indeed pitted. So Jeff Sanders currently leading that cycle. Michael Prince in that Stealth Bomber Mobile 145 is going to do the same thing. He pit on not the same lap, but almost the same lap as Jeff Sanders. He's going to be in second place of that, cycle, as Jed Cotterman has now moved up into second place because Aaron Sanford has brought his 958 Porsche into the pit lane.
Yep, as you see, going up on the jack, so getting some new fresh rubber underneath that Porsche, putting in the fuel that he'll need to get to the end of this race. But now we sit there and say, what's the gap to Jeff Sanders? That was his closest competition before the pit cycle happened. We'll see if he can get rolling and make it out of the pits. There he is rolling now. He's near the end of the pit lane. Where's Jeff Sanders? And there goes through Sanders. Oh, there's Sanders.
Yeah, Sanders.
Similar looking car.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. My mind was melted for a second. But Jeff Sanders is going to have the momentum, and he is going to have a little more developed tires. He's got a little more heat built up. So we'll see if he's able to make that overtake here on Aaron Sanford's outlap.
Yeah, we're going to see it right now. Sanford a little bit slow through that corner with the tires not up to temp, and Sand's tires all the way up at operating temp, and they're going to have a drag race down in turn 5, but I suspect the braking is going to go the way of that McLaren number 303.
Yep, and it does, as he is going to dip his right front tire a little bit into that sand, but no big deal there. As Jed Cotterman and Faraz Ibrahim having a little bit of a battle for P2. Faraz, who I believe was in a different car last week, has opted to hop into a Mercedes AMG GT3, my personal favorite on the iRacing service. So, I've always got a little bit of a soft spot here for Faraz if he's going to run that Mercedes all season, which, in my opinion, Mercedes is just... it's the ultimate compromise and the ultimate, jack of all trades. It's got weight, so it feels sturdy. It's got power, so the straight line speed is nice. And, you know, when I do endurance racing, I did 3 endurance races this year. 24 hours of Daytona, 24 hours of Nürburgring, and the Spa 24. We were in Mercedes for all of them, and I absolutely adored it.
It is a good car. It is not my favorite GT3, but it is a very solid car, and certainly with the input of Daniel Morad and some of the other Mercedes pro drivers that are on the iRacing service and that iRacing turned to for that pro driver feedback, they have certainly fixed that car and improved it over the last few seasons. And so definitely a very strong car at certain tracks, others not so much. I think last season in the officials, it was very much a Mustang Cup for a lot of races, but Mercedes is definitely a safe, I said sturdy is a very good word to describe it. It's a very dependable car. It may not light up the leaderboard, but you know you'll be consistent in it.
Yeah, exactly. As consistency is probably the #1 trait you need going around that carousel, as he has got that Porsche of Jed Cotterman wiggling all over the place. It seems like he is terrified, as Faraz Ibrahim is going to try to get up close to him here in Canada corner. He's going to have the outside. He ducks down into the inside. A little bit of a switch and a turn. Oh! And contact going to be made between Faraz Ibrahim, Jed Cotterman, and that is going to be a big wake-up call for both of those drivers. That is the red Ferrari of Stephen Fleury, I believe. He has a back marker, so unfortunately, really no positions to be gained there. He's going to let them go as they are P2 and P3, as Faraz Ibrahim is going to try to cut his losses because of that and head into the pits.
Yeah, not sure if he picked up any damage that he needs to use a fast repair there for, but definitely an ambitious move from Faraz with the switching of lanes that you saw going on back there from the outside to the inside, and it was a good idea, just a little bit off on the execution, and getting on that inside curve definitely didn't help there. But yeah, just unfortunate contact to be made, and you know, for Jed Cotterman there, just getting speared on the door. Nothing he did wrong there, just aggressive driving and good sportsmanship from Faraz to wait and give the position right back immediately. So you love to see that as well.
Yeah, and Faraz Ibrahim, you know, something that he can take away from this race. And I'm not one to downplay any of the drivers or, you know, be disrespectful by any means, but just not exactly the smartest move there. You know, being on the outside, ducking into the inside, you know, at the last, 50, 60 feet before the braking zone. That is typically never going to work very well because your car, the balance is off because you know, that sharp jut to the inside. And, you know, I think he might watch this race back, and there'll probably be a lot to learn there from him. But, you know, Faraz Ibrahim, he had plenty of battles last week. He is not a malicious driver. He's not a bad driver by any means. So, you know, just a mistake, and, you know, that does happen out on the racetrack. Luckily for us, it is virtual. That's, you know, no damage done, you know, to anybody's real-life wallets. Well, I mean, my real-life wallet gets pretty hurt by iRacing, but that is not here nor there, and we will continue racing.
Yeah, and while we were watching that battle there between Faraz and Jed Cotterman, Josiah Kelly has come into the pits, and the undercut seems to have paid off for Jeff Sunders because he is a massive lead over Aaron Stanford, and then Josiah Kelly dropped all the way down to third.
Yeah, now Josiah Kelly in fourth. We just saw him go off after the carousel on those cold, fresh tires, so he's going to have to get some heat built up into those tires and keep going on as we come close to 20 minutes left. We're almost 2/3 of the way through this race. And someone who has really, really surprised me here, and unfortunately it is not going to be in a good way, that is going to be Mr. Faraz Ibrahim, someone who looked very, very strong last week at Road Atlanta. He goes off there again on the last corner. I apologize. So Faraz Ibrahim, someone who, you know, looked very in tune at Atlanta, coming here up north to Road America and not having the best of days. However, he is still P4, so there is time. The Mercedes AMG can definitely do something.
Something has happened with Josiah Kelly. Something's happened to Josiah Kelly because he just got passed by Faraz, and Faraz, we know, has made his pit stop. Josiah, he was our leader during this pit cycle, and he's dropped all the way down to 5th. Jed Cotterman pit, and he has come out in 3rd. At least I'm assuming he's 3rd, unless timing and scoring needs to update still, because he pit on the last lap. So, yeah, Josiah Kelly, a disastrous pit stop or something has happened to him that he has not only lost the lead, but dropped all the way down to 5th.
Yeah, and if you notice, Josiah Kelly, you guys at home viewing cannot see it, but Josiah Kelly took a 28-second pit time, and everybody else took around a 22 or a 23. So 4 extra seconds there. I'm not sure if it was, for, you know, damage, or maybe he accidentally put too much fuel in, or maybe he, you know, whatever the case may be. Regardless, he has had a horror of a pit stop, and yeah, like you said, he is down into 5th. He's 3 spots down, as he was sitting in P2, now in P5.
Yeah, he qualified 2nd, sat on the outside outside of row 1. My apologies to Jeff Saunders, and Jeff Saunders has worked his way back up into the lead, and he's got almost a 5.5 second gap over Aaron Sanford in the Porsche. And Jed Cotterman, who was the innocent bystander that instant he had with Faraz Ibrahim, has found his way into 3rd place after all this is said and done. And Faraz Ibrahim, even with his mistake, is sitting in P4. And Josiah Kelly is got to be sitting there going, maybe look at this after the race and go, guys, what did you do differently on your pit stops that I didn't do? And really kind of mess things up. So yeah, not sure if some of these guys didn't take tires or only took 2 tires because of the limited amount of fuel that they needed to put in the car, or what happened there, but definitely a factor of why he's dropped so far down there.
Yeah, unfortunately for Josiah Kelly and Faraz Ibrahim, actually, the overcut seems to not have worked. Jed Cotterman, he is up in P3, but Jeff Sanders, the ultimate winner for that undercut. And, you know, it begs the thought, if he would have stayed out until, you know, lap 16 or 17, like these other guys did, could he have been in a position to be caught up by that incident in Canada Corner between Faraz and Jed Cotterman? So Jeff Sanders, he took kind of the safe route. He took the early pit route, but it is paying off.
Yeah, it definitely seems so. I mean, as far as pit times go, he was not the fastest on pit road. That actually goes to Broughton Jones with a 21.45. But of our top 4 or 5 guys, it goes to Aaron Sanford with a 22.05. So a couple of tenths quicker than Jeff Saunders, but as we saw in that battle, you know, Jeff Saunders was easily able to make his way around Aaron Sanford, so had to figure there was something new tires on that Porsche. You know, the tire does cool off some when you're sitting there stationary, but definitely not enough to give you any troubles the way that we were seeing Aaron Sanford struggling for grip on those first few corners. But yeah, definitely a head scratcher there, and I'm sure one that Josiah Kelly will analyze after the race and look to improve for next week. But as things stand in our top 5, no real close battles. Our closest battle on the track at the moment is going to be for P7 between Jamie MacArthur and the number 4 Corvette and number 77 Philip Kelly. And commentator's curse, as we turn to that battle, Philip Kelly goes sliding off into the kitty litter. And he's going to lose the spot to Broughton Jones, who has found his way back into the fight after that early incident that he had hitting the outside wall.
Yeah, and I know it's a small sample size, Mr. Zenny, but you said last season it was a Mustang Cup in the GT3 series, which I 100% agree with. They were, you know, very overtuned, in my opinion, for the iRacing Live service. Hate to get a little metagamey on the simulator, but that is kind of, you know, the way I put it. But the two Mustangs here tonight, Philip Kelly and Dennis Crosby, unfortunately have been running off the track a lot. So is that, just coincidence? Is it small sample size? Or is the Mustang really just not very good around here?
I think it's just a case of guys pushing it. Unfortunately, when you don't have any sort of incident limit to hand out drive-through penalties or DQs or anything like that, which I don't believe this series has when I was doing a quick scan of the rules, it allows for guys to, push the boundaries of track limits. And so, Road America is one of those tracks that when you talk with the Formula One guys or the European guys, they really love because it's old school. That's what they say. There's no miles of paved runoff and everything that you see, no sterilization of modern F1 circuits. And so, that you see it with iRacing's new debris model that they've had for a couple seasons now. And these guys go off track and bring just heaps of dirt and gravel and grass and so forth onto the track. And, it makes it a tricky surface to drive on. So that's what these guys are contending with. They don't have scorching hot track temperatures that are killing the tires, but they do have not ideal grip conditions around the circuit, as you see a bunch of gravel just kind of scattered all around the corners of beautiful Road America here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Yeah. Wisconsin, we're up north. We're not there, but we're by Green Bay. The Packers doing great this season.
These heads.
Packers doing great this season. Had a little bit of a fall off the last few weeks, but who knows? Jordan Love and company might bring something back here and, give the state of Wisconsin, something to smile about when it comes to football.
Yeah, and Broughton Jones, unfortunately, he was having a good recovery run, but because he had to pit so early, he's back in the pits doing a little splash and dash to make it to the end of the race.
Yeah, unfortunate.
But as things stand up front, Jeff Saunders has built himself up to a 6.3 second lead over Aaron Sanford in P2, and it's going to be a second Porsche making out the last step of the podium at the moment with that number 7 from Jake Cotterman. He's got about a 5.5 second lead over Faraz Ibrahim in P4 in that Mercedes. And Josiah Kelly looked strong early on, but unfortunately that pit cycle really kind of neutralized the race for him as he's sitting in P5 just a couple seconds back from the Mercedes of Faraz in front of him.
Yeah, Josiah Kelly, everything was going right until it wasn't, and now it just seems like it's a domino of bad on that Marlboro number 11 Ferrari. Check it in here with Jamie MacArthur. He got into some, harsh things on the opening lap. I believe it was the opening lap, might have been the second lap, but he has quietly brought his way up to P7. So nice points drive here for the Canadian.
Yeah, up 3 spots from his starting position, and he's going to be trying to close down that 10-second gap to Michael Prince in front of him. But quiet drive, able to recover from early mistakes, which is something that some of his fellow competitors have not been able to do. And just looking at the overall championship and saying 7th place is a good points haul. I can do something with that.
Yeah, almost certainly, as we are only 2 weeks into the season. We've got 6 more races, so any points that, the likes of Broughton Jones, Dennis Crosby, Terry Vincent, whatever they can scrape, as Terry Vincent's going to get around the 77 Mustang of Philip Kelly there. He really needs to get some points done today, points on the board, because he is up there in the championship. I'm not sure if he'll be leading after today or not, but he needs as good of a result as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in a close battle at the moment with the number 7 of Philip Kelly, but like we said, week 2 of an 8-week series, you can't afford to have too many bad races if you're in the hunt for a championship. So a lot of these guys switching to damage control mode at this moment and trying to seek for any and all points that they can get here with under 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, and Terry Vincent, I'm not sure if he's got maybe a steering problem or something in that BMW, but it seems like the last couple of corners he's taken, and, you know, I notice it, and we'll go on board with him here and maybe look at it, but it seems like his steering isn't exactly doing what he wants it to do, that maybe the front end's, you know, a little floaty out there, because the way he's setting his car just looks a little awkward, or it did in those few corners, like the hurry downs heading into the carousel. But, you know, while we're on board with him, everything looks to be fine.
Yeah, no visible damage on the outside of the car, but, you know, like I said, Road America's, it's not tricky from a complexity standpoint the way Road Atlanta was for these guys last week, but definitely the small mistakes can kill you, and they add up over these long straightaways. As you know, he's going to get a little bit of breathing room as Philip Kelly behind him ran wide in the final corner. Yeah, if you just don't have your car placed right to maximize the speed that you roll through these corners, you know, you're going to feel the punishment for it. And I think that's just kind of what we were seeing there. But as you see, all that gravel just scattered there through turns 2 and turn 3 that Terry Vincent's driving through right now. But that's definitely not helping these guys either. You know, you're driving over gravel, and you might as well be driving on ice.
Yeah, I mean, that debris out on track, it can really upset a car heading into the entry of a corner. The amount of times I've gone through a heavy debris area inside of a braking zone and then just end up facing the wrong way because of it. Too many times, too much for me to count, too many for me to count. As Jeff Sanders still in the lead. He's got a very impressive 6-second lead over the Porsche of Aaron Sanford. And as we head to 10 minutes to go, I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want to call anything too early, but outside of Josiah Kelly and Faraz Ibrahim, everything else kind of looks a little in place.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of what these guys are going to find out with keeping going off track and so forth, as we saw with Broughton Jones early on. You know, ran wide in the final corner, thought he had it saved, and then the car just hooked and speared him left into the outside wall. So, you know, that's the ever-lurking danger for these guys as they push hard. As you said, Josiah Kelly and Faraz Ibrahim is our closest battle at the moment, and Josiah Kelly's closed that gap down to about 0.6 of a second, but his Ferrari, if we get a close-up shot of it, is definitely beaten and bruised. He's had some contact and some battle scars, especially in that left rear, as they look like they're coming up on the 15th place Ferrari of Stephen Fleury in front of them, who's a couple laps down. But yeah, these guys are pushing and finding limits, which, like we said at the beginning of the race, is what you expect out of a league that kind of caters towards potential beginning drivers and so forth, with the 15 or 1600 iRating cap. And speaking of, if anybody out there is watching and wants to get in on this action, you're just starting out your iRacing career, or perhaps just looking for some league fun because the officials are a little bit too chaotic for you, look in the broadcast description. You'll find a link to this league's Discord. Feel free to join in and join up for the next 6 races. As we said early on, next week they're going to Watkins Glen, and the calendar's chock full of fantastic tracks. Just kind of a all-star selection of really great tracks this season, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys are going to do the rest of the time, and definitely look to see these guys grow and get more participation as well. So if you're curious, if you want to join in, if you want a great place to grow and learn and develop your skills, check out that description box to find a link to this league's Discord.
Yes, sir. Very well said. They are looking for drivers. I believe the entry fee, I believe there isn't one. I do believe it is a free entry league. Do not quote me on that, because I don't want anybody coming to me and saying, Mac, you son of a gun, you lied to me. So, as Josiah Kelly, as I'm rambling, I'm yapping, he's overcorrecting. He does indeed save it, though. Josiah Kelly in that number 11 Ferrari. Well done from him, but that means that Faraz Ibrahim down the straight is going to stretch this out to probably 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, definitely breathing a sigh of relief there as Josiah was breathing fire on the back of that Mercedes. But, yeah, not a mistake that you like to have with less than 10 minutes to go. It's going to be hard to close up, and Faraz and Josiah have been running roughly the same pace over the last 3 or 4 laps. So fortunately not a massive pace advantage that Josiah can rely on. So he's going to be hoping for a mistake from Perez to close that gap back up. But back up front, the lead pretty steady at about 6.8 seconds for Jeff Saunders over Aaron Sanford, who in turn has about another 6 seconds over Jed Cotterman in third on that final step of the podium. So nothing changed up front. Just these guys working through a few of the back markers that we have. Only 3 or 4 cars looks like are lapped down. Everybody being respectful and yielding way.
Yeah, yielding way indeed, but someone who is looking to find his way up to the front, Terry Vincent. This is going to be our closest battle inside of the race right now. Terry Vincent, your championship leader, down 5 spots into P8. Going to try to scrape all the points he can. We will be on board with Terry Vincent. We will update you if something happens across the track, but for right now, Terry Vincent, his main mission is to get past the number 4 Corvette of Jamie MacArthur, and he got really close there at the bottom of Hurry Downs.
Yeah, definitely was a little bit too close for comfort there, but we'll be looking to do it cleanly here coming out of the carousel. Not going to do it through the kink. That is a terrible passing place at Road America, but we'll look to tuck in the draft of that Corvette in front of him and potentially throw the move down here into Canada Corner. No showing of the nose yet. Gonna maybe show it at the last minute. Nothing doing though there.
But he is set up very nicely to attack on this front straight, so we'll have to see the run he gets out of the corner here as we go. Actually, he's going to try to take it around the corner. Jamie MacArthur just concedes the position, as that is going to be Terry Vincent into 7th place. I would have liked to see a little more fight out of Jamie MacArthur, but at the end of the day, Terry Vincent is probably the faster driver by a decent margin, as they have 9/10 that separate them on their best lap. So maybe Jamie MacArthur just electing to do what needs to be done. The inevitable was probably Terry Vincent getting around him. So why hold him up, I guess, is the, thought process of Jamie McMurray. But with 6 minutes to go, I would have liked to see a little bit of fight out of the number 4.
Yeah, but, if you're Jamie MacArthur, you're sitting there saying, I don't have the pace of Terry Vincent behind me. I don't have as fresh tires or what have you. So, instead of trying to fight there, take my 8th place points and stockpile them away and carry on fighting another day there. So, sometimes you just got to say what, as much as I would love to fight, it's just a fool's errand, but there is a case that you can make definitely for, being a lion defender, as we have heard from F1 days, but, turn around and try and hold a faster guy behind you. There is definitely some pride in that for sure. But Jamie MacArthur choosing discretion as the better part of valor there, and says, you know what, you're just too fast for me to try and attempt to hold you behind me, so I'm just going to let you go and do my own thing back here.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. But if it was me, I'm a bonehead. I probably would have tried to fight for a few corners before letting it go, but that's probably why I'm worse than him.
Well, speaking of fighting, it's back on between Josiah and Faraz. So that gap had grown to about 2 seconds with a mistake from Josiah, but it's back down to about 4/10 here going through turns 2 and 3 and hitting it into turn 3 right now. Josiah giving him the old razzle-dazzle in front there, hitting the headlight flashers, and might have been effective there. A little bit of a tail wiggle from the Mercedes. He has to catch it and gather it up as he runs wide and opens the door wide open for that Ferrari to come on through.
And that is what we call a mind punt, as I believe Josiah Kelly flashed the lights at Faraz Ibrahim on that last go. So I'm sure Ibrahim maybe took his focus off of the corner a little bit, maybe looking in his rear view or something of the sort. He's going to end up off track by a large margin. And, yeah, like you said, that is Josiah Kelly in 4th place. So, commentator's curse again. I said everything looked to be pretty set, but that is clearly not the case, as Faraz Ibrahim, not a lot of time to try to make this up. It's already out to a second, as that is going to be your current end of the top 5.
Yeah, you know, that move right there is why you'll see everybody flash the lights when they're behind somebody, because in that 1 in 100 chance that it works, you feel really good for doing it. You feel like a Jedi. You're like, that is the corner you don't want to turn in right there. As we saw Faraz Ibrahim have a massive slide there through turn 3, and unfortunately opened the door up for Josiah Kelly to come on through, and he's running away with it. So it wasn't a matter of ill-gotten gains there. Josiah Kelly showing that he had the pace to catch up and get by and pull away from. But I say that Faraz Ibrahim, using the grunt of that V8 in the under the hood of that Mercedes, is trying to fight back. A little outside the draft range, though. Nothing doing, I suspect, there here into turn 1. But either way, he'll be driving a little bit frustrated. I wouldn't necessarily say mad, but having a little extra incentive to push a little bit more here with less than 2.5 minutes to go on the clock.
Yeah, and unfortunate, while we were watching that happen, Terry Vincent, who has had an up and down night all night, he is going to get a little squirmy coming through the left-hander after the bridge. He's going to go across the track. Oh, no. Just not really in control of that BMW, and Terry Vincent has not had a very good day here at Road America, as that is going to be real unfortunate for him. His car not even driving straight. It looks like he's constantly almost in a drift, and he's going to go off again, and I believe he has reset to the pits. So very unfortunate, as that got a little scary there, but very, very unfortunate for our championship leader, Terry Vincent.
Have to see with a minute and a half to go if these guys potentially are on the white flag lap. I'm not sure where the leader was as he's coming through the final turn now, so he will pick up the white flag, as these guys have 1 lap to go here at Road America.
1 lap to go, and Faraz Ibrahim is trying for an overtake here, coming down to Canada Corner on that Marlboro Ferrari of Josiah Kelly around Canada Corner. He is not going to get it as we head back up the hill towards
like
the last
position
corner
that nobody wants to keep.
Yeah, it seems like P4 all night people have just been fighting for that position. You are right, and that is going to be Josiah Kelly off the track just a tiny bit. We'll see if Faraz Ibrahim has a little bit of a run here going into turn 1.
Yeah, Faraz Ibrahim definitely going to have the run out of the final corner, as you saw Josiah Kelly pushing really hard to try and stay in front of him, but he's going to give the outside line to Faraz. Can he hold it around the outside? No, Faraz is going to back off, look to maybe cross him under going down through turn 2 into turn 3. In worst case, stick in the draft and try and make a move into turn 5 here as they're on the final lap. Josiah Kelly, though, he cannot afford to make another mistake and run wide. He's going to be trying to use every inch of the track and none more, as he's trying to hold that purple Mercedes behind him.
Yeah, and Josiah Kelly, we saw it earlier, he gave up the position here in the heavy braking zone. We'll see if he does it again. Everything looks to be fine. Faraz Ibrahim,
wide.
Yeah, looking for a gap, but unfortunately there was not one there. If he would have taken a conventional line, he probably would have had a lot better of a chance, but Faraz Ibrahim just driving it all over the place, mowing the lawn here at Road America as we head down the hurry downs, I believe is what they're called, sorry. We'll take the left-hander into the carousel now. These two not wanting to give each other an inch.
Yeah. Faraz is going to need a good exit out of the carousel through the key and try and make a move down into Canada Corner and hope that Josiah Kelly maybe outbreaks himself outside. I can talk, I swear. Outbreak himself down into Canada Corner here. He's going to take the defensive line on the right. He's going to yield the left side to Faraz Ibrahim. They're side by side. They're going to touch. Faraz Ibrahim trying to hang it around the outside. Can he make it stick? He's got some rumble out there.
You're not able to make it work right now. Jeff Sanders has crossed the line. Your top 3 is Jeff Sanders, Aaron Sanford, Jed Cotterman, but the battle for P4 still up in the air. Faraz Ibrahim goes a little bit too early. He's going to have to make magic happen if he wants this 4th place position. It is not going to pan out. Josiah Kelly is going to finish the race in 4th. Faraz Ibrahim in 5th place. Wow.
Good battle to the end for those guys. Definitely seemed like for a while those guys did not want to stay in 4th place. And Jed Cotterman finished E3. Michael Prince looks like he's going to come around to finish in P6, followed by Dennis Crosby.
Yeah,
Dennis Crosby coming out of the final corner here. You're about to go up the hill one last time under the NTT sign.
Yeah, in a very good race for Michael Prince. He had, you know, a ton of troubles, but up 10 spots into P6. You cannot go wrong with that.
Like I said, Stealth Bomber
Yeah.
quietly worked his way up 10 spots, found himself solidly in the top 10 tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. As we've still got some cars out on track, but I do believe everyone might be done racing. I take that back. Jamie MacArthur here, still on a valid lap. Same with Philip Kelly, but no battles going on. Everybody's, you know, kind of just limping at home. These guys in the back definitely went to war, as, you know, a lot of off tracks, a lot of battles, you know, and that's just how it is, being a young gun coming up.
Absolutely. I'm just waiting on Jamie MacArthur here. He crosses the line and the race is official. So your final standings, let's go ahead and get those brought up.
Your results for the race on screen now.
Yeah, Jeff Sanders, after that early battle with Josiah Kelly, he finishes in dominant fashion on top with a 6.1 second lead over Aaron Sanford in second. Jed Cotterman's going to round out your podium in P3 in that number 7 Porsche. Josiah Kelly, as we saw in that battle with Faraz Ibrahim, is going to come out on top in P4 with Faraz Ibrahim close behind in P5. Michael Prince is going to be your 6th place finisher, followed by Dennis Crosby in P7. Brendan McCurdy is going to come home in 8th, followed by Broughton Jones, and Philip Kelly is going to round out your top 10. Jamie MacArthur is going to be your 11th place finisher, followed by Doug Betts and Jeffrey Strong, Terry Vincent down in P14, Stephen Fleury in P15, Danny Jackson in 16th, and Kevin Henderson's going to round out the field down in 17th spot.
Yes, sir. And as we get finished here, we've got Mr. Jed Cotterman. Unfortunately, I do not have permission to bring him in the booth, so that is not ideal. As hopefully we might be able to get something figured out there, but as of right now, man, what a race. What a phenomenal race, actually. I mean, that battle up front was absolutely cinematic, and, you know, if you don't mind while I try to get this sorted out, just go through, Zinni, and just, you know, kind of say what the favorite part of the race was for you.
Yeah, I mean, that battle early on between Jeff Saunders and Josiah Kelly was fantastic to watch. You know, that's exactly what you want to see in sim race, and that's the kind of action that really, you know, gets the heart rate up and, you know, makes you coming back for more, going side by side for those laps. And same at the end. You know, it started with a great battle and it finished with a great battle, but at the end it was between Faraz Ibrahim and Josiah Kelly again. So clearly Josiah is a fan of close battles, but you know, Run America always produces that kind of good action. You know, the field kind of got strung out a little bit early on, but for those guys that were able to stay close to one another, definitely put on a good show. So those two battles are easily the highlight of the night for me.
Yes, sir. As we try to work around these technical difficulties, I do dearly apologize. You can see the results still there. We'll bring up the race recap, as I'm sure it might have some pretty decent knowledge there. 3 lead changes, which is kind of crazy. I thought there were more than 3 lead changes that race.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like it with the action that was going on up at the front, and but the close battles just couldn't get the nose in front to trigger a lead change officially. But definitely, we're swapping around places early on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As I believe, I'm not entirely sure if we're going to have any interviews here. I would like to. I would really like to get Jed Cotterman, who placed third. I would love to see his reaction to the battle he went through tonight, as it was, for being a small grid, it was war. It was seriously war.
And we do have Jed in the booth, so your wish has been granted, Mac.
Fantastic. Jed Cotterman in P3 here tonight at Road America. Tell me, Jed, was it a relaxing? I kind of know the answer, but was it relaxing or was it a little stressful for you?
It was stressful from the get go. I put in a ton of practice. The session all week was 78 degrees, so you get a setup good for that. And then we come in here and it's 65, so the car is extremely tight. It won't turn, and the whole practice, I'm trying to figure out what what I can do. I'm not a setup guy, especially in this car. So from the get go, it was a little frustrating. I was just I was at a disadvantage from the drop of the green, but um, I, I had fun. I had a little outburst there when I, I I wish I knew how to pronounce his name. Faraz, is that right?
Faraz, yeah, that's how
Yeah.
we've been saying it was
Yeah.
Faraz, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, like he was faster than me through the back part of the race, but I'm gonna make you earn it, and I don't mean to be arrogant or cocky. I'm just not that guy that's gonna pull over. I'll always race you clean and fair. But I was actually just going back and watching the replay now, and I'm just like, man, that was just uncalled for. But I said my apologies for my thumb's got a lot more will, or I've got a lot more willpower than my thumb does at times, so I had to apologize for that. But it was a great race. Road to America is one of my favorites. Um, I'm so used to fixed setups that this open setup is kind of a new and challenging thing for me. So I've got to learn how to adjust on the fly. But 2 races in, I'm absolutely having a blast. I love the league, and we'll see what we can do next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now moving on, Watkins Glen, I feel like on paper, you carry the same sort of characteristics as, say, a Road America here. So heading into Watkins Glen next Saturday, do you think you're confident that you're going to be able to, maybe step on that top step of the podium and grab yourself a win here in the Syndicate Saturday GT3 series?
Watkins Glen, I think I could drive blindfolded. It's one of the first tracks that I've ever bought and raced in a league. I absolutely love that track. If I was in the Mustang, I would say yes. The Porsche, I honestly don't know if I've ever driven the Porsche around Watkins Glen, especially in an open setup. So I'm going to put my time in. I'm definitely going to show up confident like I did here. We got together. I was able to save so much fuel, and this car just doesn't suck it like the Mustang does. So I think I went another 2, maybe 3 laps from everybody else, and I thought that might be enough to keep some kind of a lead. But I put too much fuel in it, and you know, P3 from P6 after having a little incident. I'll take it. I'm not upset. I'm over it. Well, yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, yeah. And before we let you go out of the booth here, is there anybody you want to give a quick shout out to for the performance tonight?
For the performance tonight, I just not really. I hate to say that way, but I'm just gonna give a shout out to you guys, the admins in the league. Everybody, um, everybody has been really great. respectful. Things happen. I get it. I'm just maybe a little too competitive for my own good, but I'm just gonna give a shout out to all the admins and the drivers in the Syndicate League and you guys for the broadcasting. I think you guys do a really really great job. So we'll go back and watch it. We'll learn from it. Start Watkins Glen tomorrow, and we'll see what happens.
All right, well, fantastic to have you up in the booth, Jed, and I appreciate you for taking the time, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Thanks, brother. Hopefully we'll chat again next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I believe Zen does indeed have our race winner here with us in the booth.
Hey, guys.
Yes, we do have Jeff, our winner, here in the booth with us. Overall, certainly seemed to make you want to earn it early on in the race and then kind of cruise there at the end. But what was your view of the action tonight from inside the car?
It was hot and heavy with, I forget the guy's name now. And just, I was afraid of something bigger happening. So I thought I would just dive in the pits early. I should have stopped sooner, but wasn't sure where I was going to come out. And dove in and kind of worked. I don't know if something happened to him later or what. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, we were commenting that on that as well, on whether the undercut or the overcut on the pit strategy was going to pay off. But definitely seemed like something may have happened with Josiah and his pit stop. He was in the pits a lot longer than you guys were. But at the end of it, you got out of that three-way battle there and came into the pits and got into some clean air and definitely seemed to pay off. So, but looking forward to next week, heading to Watkins Glen. How do you like your chances around there?
Well, that's arguably my favorite track of everything they have too. That one and Interlagos are my two favorites. And like Jed, that was just in here, I think I could drive it blindfolded as well.
Yes, Watkins Glen is always a popular track. And so what I'm hearing is next week is going to be a very entertaining race to watch with so many guys that feel like they have such a strong performance at Watkins Glen. But before we let you get out here, Jeff, for the night, any folks that you would like to thank for your sim racing?
Well, thanks to the guys that put this on. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting it and the guys on my team that we run another league and endurances, which looks like Daytona is going to be our next one. That's primarily what we do is endurances. So looking forward to that and hope it continues to go well. I hope I can be here every week.
Well, we hope to see you out here on the track each week as well. It was fantastic watching you battle all night. So congratulations again on the win tonight, Jeff, and hope to see you back on the top step of the podium next week.
I'm going to do my best, guys. Thanks for covering it.
Sir, thank
Absolutely.
you, Jeff. And that...
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is going to do it for tonight. Zenny, we had one heck of a show, don't you think?
Yeah, that was a fantastic race in Road America. As we said at the top of the show, always produces some great racing, has a lot of action spots, and I think all of the spots got used in the battles tonight. So well done to all the racers. Fantastic action up and down the grid. And as they head across the country to the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York and the beautiful track that is Watkins Glen. Look forward to seeing more action out of these guys next week. So, like I said earlier, if anybody that's watching wants to get in on the action, you can find a link to the league's Discord in the description of the stream. But until next time, that'll do it for us.
Yes, sir. Everybody, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a fantastic night. Have a fantastic holiday if you will not.